A mother has disappeared. Her home is full of signs that something went terribly wrong. And the last person to see her alive says he took their children camping at midnight, in the middle of a winter storm. That case still hasn't been solved. On December 7th, 2009, 28-year-old Susan Cox Powell doesn't show up for work in West Valley City, Utah. Her purse sits untouched on the kitchen counter. Her car is still in the driveway. Inside the house, police find soaked carpets, industrial fans blasting, and small traces of blood near the couch. Susan is gone. Her husband, Joshua Powell, tells investigators she was asleep when he left the house with their 2 young sons for a late-night camping trip. No one can explain why he chose that moment. No one can explain what happened inside that home. Susan's body is never found. What follows turns into a years-long nightmare involving a deeply suspicious husband, disturbing family secrets, and a chain of events that ends in more tragedy. And one question investigators still can't answer. Where is Susan Powell? Susan Cox Powell is 28 years old, a devoted mother to 2 young boys, Charles, age 7, and Braden, age 5. Those who know Susan describe her as vibrant, faithful, and deeply loving toward her children. She works as a stockbroker, attends church regularly. Susan marries Joshua Powell in 2001. Friends notice troubling signs almost immediately. Josh is controlling, demanding, and emotionally distant. He monitors Susan's spending, criticizes her appearance, and isolates her from her family. Susan's journals reveal a woman trapped in a deteriorating marriage. She writes about Josh's anger, his refusal to work consistently, his bizarre behavior. But the most chilling entry comes months before her disappearance. Susan writes what she calls a secret will, a handwritten note stating that if anything happens to her, it might not be an accident. She specifically mentions Josh. There's another complicating factor in Susan's life. Josh's father, Stephen Powell, lives with the family periodically. Stephen's behavior towards Susan crosses every boundary. He takes photographs of her without permission, writes disturbing journal entries expressing sexual obsession with his daughter-in-law, and makes Susan deeply uncomfortable in her own home. She tells friends she feels unsafe around Stephen. She feels unsafe in her own marriage. December 6, 2009 starts as an ordinary Sunday. Susan attends church with her sons. The family eats dinner together. Susan puts Charles and Braden to bed. Neighbors later report seeing lights on in the Powell home around 10 p.m. Everything appears normal, but Susan will never be seen again. The first sign something is wrong comes Monday morning, December 7th. Susan doesn't show up for work. This is unlike her. She's reliable, punctual, and responsible. When she doesn't answer her phone, co-workers grow concerned. They call Susan's family. Meanwhile, Charles and Braden don't arrive at daycare. Their absence triggers alarm bells. Susan's family contacts the police. Something is very wrong. West Valley City Police Department responds to a welfare check at the Powell residence around 3:30 p.m. on December 7th. Officers knock on the door. No one answers. They peer through windows. The house appears empty, but something feels off. With Susan's family's consent, officers enter the home. What they find stops them cold. The living room carpet is soaking wet. Industrial fans are positioned throughout the room, blowing at full speed, clearly attempting to dry something. The couch shows signs of recent cleaning. Officers discover small traces of blood near the furniture. Susan's purse remains on the counter. Her car sits in the garage. Her cell phone is gone, but all her other belongings are right there. Where is Joshua Powell? That question gets answered around 5 p.m. when Josh arrives home with Charles and Braden in tow. He appears surprised to find the police at his house. His explanation for Susan's absence is immediate and bizarre. He claims Susan was asleep when he decided spontaneously to take their 2 young sons camping in the middle of winter after midnight during a snowstorm. Detective Ellis Maxwell leads the investigation. He listens to Josh's story with growing skepticism. Josh says he left home around 12:30 a.m. on December 7th. He drove to Simpson Springs, a remote desert area west of Salt Lake City, approximately 125 miles from their home. He wanted to roast marshmallows with his sons. When asked why he didn't wake Susan to tell her, Josh shrugs. He says she was tired. When asked why he took a camping trip at such an unusual hour, Josh claims he got the days mixed up and thought it was Sunday night, not Monday morning. Detective Maxwell notes Josh's demeanor. He's calm, almost detached. There's no urgency in his voice when discussing his missing wife. There's no panic about Susan's whereabouts. Most husbands in this situation would be frantic. Josh seems annoyed by the questioning. Officers search the family's minivan. Inside, they find tarps, blankets, and a recently purchased shovel. They discover melted metal and charred debris in a storage container. They find 2 gas cans that smell recently used. None of these items aligns with a simple camping trip. All of them align with disposing of evidence. The camping story falls apart under scrutiny. Josh claims he arrived at Simpson Springs around 2 a.m. and stayed until late morning. But the area experienced a significant winter storm that night. Temperatures dropped well below freezing. No rational parent takes young children into a desert during a blizzard to roast marshmallows. More damning, when police interview Charles and Braden separately, the boys provide details their father doesn't know they remember. Josh's timeline contradicts itself repeatedly. He tells police Susan was asleep at 12:30 a.m. when he left, but cell phone records show Susan's phone was active earlier that evening and then went silent around 10 p.m. Josh claims he took the camping trip spontaneously, yet he packed camping gear, food, and supplies, suggesting premeditation. He insists he returned home around 5 p.m. on December 7th, but neighbors report not seeing the family minivan in the driveway all day. The boys, Charles and Braden, provide heartbreaking glimpses into that night. The children describe going camping with their father, but their accounts include disturbing details. They mention being cold, being tired, and wanting to go home. Charles, the older boy at 7, makes a statement that freezes investigators. He says, "Mommy was in the trunk." He describes helping his father put something heavy into the car. When asked what was in the trunk, Charles becomes quiet, confused. Forensic teams tear apart the Powell home. The blood found near the couch tests positive as Susan's blood. The wet carpet shows evidence of aggressive cleaning with chemical agents. Luminol testing reveals blood spatter patterns consistent with blunt force trauma. The fans positioned throughout the room were clearly meant to speed dry the carpet and eliminate evidence. Investigators find Susan's purse, wallet, keys, and identification. The only item missing is her body. Josh's behavior in the days following Susan's disappearance raises more red flags. He withdraws their children from daycare. He stops cooperating with the police. He hires an attorney and refuses to take a polygraph test. When Susan's family pleads with him on television to help find her, Josh remains silent. When reporters ask him directly if he harmed his wife, Josh offers only vague denials. Then there's the life insurance. Within weeks of Susan's disappearance, Josh attempts to claim life insurance benefits. He argues that since Susan is gone, she must be presumed dead. The insurance company denies the claim due to the ongoing investigation. Josh's financial motive becomes crystal clear. Susan was worth more to him dead than alive. Stephen Powell, Josh's father, inserts himself into the investigation in disturbing ways. Police discover Stephen has been documenting Susan for years. He maintains a secret collection of photographs and videos of Susan, many taken without her knowledge or consent. His journals contain explicit sexual fantasies about his daughter-in-law. He writes about wanting Susan to leave Josh so Stephen can pursue her himself. The physical evidence against Josh accumulates. Forensic accountants discover Josh liquidated Susan's retirement accounts days before her disappearance. He transferred funds, closed accounts, and positioned himself to benefit financially from her absence. Cell tower data places Josh's phone traveling west toward Simpson Springs in the early morning hours of December 7. But the timeline doesn't match his stated arrival and departure times. Search teams comb the desert around Simpson Springs. They find a campsite that matches the location Josh described. But the site contains oddities. There's evidence of fire, but it's far more extensive than a simple marshmallow roast. Investigators find the remains of what appears to be Susan's personal items, partially burned. They discover fabric that matches clothing Susan owned. Back at the Powell home, investigators find Susan's journals. The entries paint a picture of escalating fear. Susan writes about Josh's increasing anger, his refusal to seek employment, his controlling behavior. She documents instances where Josh threatens her, where he suggests life would be easier without her. She writes about feeling trapped, about wanting to leave but fearing for her safety and her children's well-being. One entry from November 2009, just weeks before her disappearance, Susan writes about death, about what would happen to Charles and Braden if something happened to her. She specifically instructs that Josh should not have custody. Computer forensics revealed Josh's search history in the days before Susan vanished. He researches life insurance policies, how long someone must be missing before being declared dead, and survivability in winter conditions. He clears his browser history multiple times, but forensic specialists recover the deleted data. Neighbors come forward with statements. One recalls seeing Josh loading large garbage bags into his minivan the night of December 6th. Another remembers hearing raised voices from the Powell home around 10 p.m. A third describes seeing the minivan leave the neighborhood after midnight, which aligns with Josh's camping story, but raises the question of what was in that vehicle. Police bring Josh in for multiple interviews. Each session reveals more inconsistencies. Detective Maxwell employs a strategic approach. He just wants to find Susan, bring her home safe. Can Josh help with that? Josh maintains his story. Susan was home when he left. He took the boys camping. When he returned, she was gone. He has no idea where she went. Maybe she ran away. Maybe she left him. He speaks about Susan in past tense, as though she's already dead, even though he insists he believes she's alive. Detective Maxwell introduces evidence slowly. He shows Josh the cell phone records. Josh claims there must be an error. The detective presents the blood evidence from the couch. Josh suggests Susan could have had a nosebleed. The detective describes the wet carpet, the fans, the chemical cleaning agents. Josh says he spilled something and was cleaning it up. Every answer contradicts the previous answer. Every explanation raises new questions. Then Detective Maxwell changes tactics. He brings up the children's statements. Charles and Braden have talked to specialists. They've shared what they remember. Josh's demeanor changes. His hands, previously relaxed on the table, clench. His jaw tightens. He knows his son saw something. He knows they remember. The detective leans forward and asks the question directly. "Where is Susan's body, Josh?" Josh's response is chilling. He doesn't deny that Susan is dead. He doesn't insist she ran away. Instead, he says nothing. He stares at the detective, expressionless, and refuses to answer. After several seconds of silence, Josh stands up and declares the interview over. He walks out. He never speaks to police again without an attorney present. Investigators believe they know exactly what happened the night of December 6th, 2009. Susan and Josh had an argument, likely about finances or Susan's desire to leave the marriage. The argument escalated. At some point around 10 p.m., Josh attacks Susan in the living room. The blood evidence suggests blunt force trauma, possibly with a weapon investigators never recovered. Susan was incapacitated, likely killed, in her own home while her children slept upstairs. Josh spent the next hours staging a cleanup. He used cleaning chemicals on the carpet. He positioned fans to dry the evidence. Then in the early morning hours of December 7th, he woke Charles and Braden. He told them they were going camping, a special adventure. The boys, groggy and confused, got into the minivan. What they didn't fully understand was that their mother's body was with them, hidden in the vehicle. Josh drove to Simpson Springs, a remote area he knew well from previous trips. He built a fire to burn evidence. He disposed of Susan's body in a location still unknown. Some investigators theorize he used an abandoned mine shaft, common in the Utah desert. Others believe he buried her in the vast expanse of wilderness. The burned debris suggests he destroyed anything that could identify Susan. After disposing of Susan's body, Josh drove home with his sons. He arrived around 5 p.m., acting surprised to find police at his residence. He had cleaned the crime scene. He believed he had committed the perfect murder. Despite overwhelming circumstantial evidence, prosecutors face an impossible challenge. There is no body. Without a body, murder charges are difficult to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Josh knows this. His attorneys know this. In 2011, the case takes another dark turn. Police search Stephen Powell's home as part of the ongoing investigation into Susan's disappearance. What they discover is horrifying. Stephen has thousands of images of women and children in various states of undress, many taken without consent. He has maintained his obsessive documentation of Susan for years. Authorities charge Stephen with voyeurism and possession of child pornography. He's convicted and sentenced to prison. But the discovery of Stephen's crimes triggers a custody battle. Social workers determine that Charles and Braden cannot safely remain in Josh's care, given the ongoing investigation in Stephen's conviction. The state of Washington, where Josh has relocated, removes the boys from his custody. They're placed with Susan's parents, Chuck and Judy Cox. Josh is granted only supervised visitation. Josh appeals the custody decision. He fights to regain his sons. Court hearings reveal more disturbing details about Josh's behavior. Psychologists evaluate him and raise concerns about his fitness as a parent. The boys begin to open up more about the night their mother disappeared. They describe things that align with investigators' theories. February 5th, 2012 arrives with horrifying finality. Josh has a scheduled, supervised visit with Charles and Braden at a rental home in Graham, Washington. A social worker, Elizabeth Griffin Hall, transports the boys to the residence. When they arrive, Charles and Braden run excitedly toward the house. Josh stands at the door, waiting. As soon as the boys enter, Josh blocks Elizabeth from following. He slams the door, and she hears the lock engage. Elizabeth immediately calls 911. She can smell gasoline. Within minutes, smoke pours from the house, then flames. Then a massive explosion rocks the quiet neighborhood. Josh has attacked his sons with a hatchet. He's doused the house with gasoline. He's ignited the fuel. Charles Powell, 7, and Braden Powell, 5, die in the inferno. So does their father, Joshua Powell. The house burns to the ground. In the ashes, investigators find evidence Josh planned this final act. He sent emails minutes before the explosion, explaining he couldn't live without his sons. He liquidated assets in the preceding days. He left instructions for disposing of his belongings. He chose murder-suicide over facing justice for what he did to Susan. Susan Cox Powell's body has never been found. 15 years after her disappearance, her family continues to search. The West Valley City Police Department maintains Susan's case as an active missing persons investigation, though they openly refer to it as a homicide. They believe Joshua Powell murdered his wife. They believe he disposed of her body in a location designed to remain hidden forever. They believe Susan deserves to be found, to be brought home, to be laid to rest with dignity. Chuck and Judy Cox, Susan's parents, have become advocates for missing persons and victims of domestic violence. They speak publicly about the warning signs they missed, the red flags they wish they'd acted upon. They honor Susan's memory by fighting for other families trapped in dangerous relationships. They remind people that Susan wrote that secret will knowing Josh might kill her. She tried to protect herself and her children. The system failed to listen in time. Where is Susan Powell? The truth is out there, buried somewhere in the Utah desert, waiting to be discovered. And until Susan comes home, her story remains unfinished, her justice incomplete, her family's grief endless. If you found this case as compelling as we did, please like and subscribe. And remember, the truth always comes out in the end.